May we be seated? May I ask the service officer to please close the door? Honorable members of parliament, good afternoon. I know a lot of you had to move between a number of budget debates, and I therefore understand why you are a bit out of breath, some of you, but I'm happy that you are here. Good afternoon. Minister, the senior officials of the department, but also our guests who are here from a number of NGOs, would like to welcome you to Parliament. Just minor house rules. For those of you who are on what is called our gallery or our viewing area, and our senior officials, you are now guests of Parliament, not just of your minister. As part of the House rules, when there's something that's exciting, we are not supposed to clap hands, but you can just smile or nod your heads. If there's something irritating that is being said, you can only make faces, but you can't boo or clap hands. These are just the House rules only for you. But members of Parliament do have rules that govern them. I will manage them in accordance with the rules. We are therefore welcome. The Secretary will now read the order of the day.
Debate on vote number 13, Women Appropriation Bill.
The Minister of Women in the Presidency, Honorable Shabangu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Women, honorable members, distinguished guests. Chairperson, I stand here today to table this budget vote at a time when our nation is in mourning about the brutality against women and children in our country. In the last few weeks, we have seen increased brutality and violence against women and children. These brutalities must rank as the highest form of betrayal for women and children to be killed by men, often their boyfriends, fathers, husbands, and uncles, strangers who are supposed to be loving them. These are violent crimes of power and control over women's body and should be understood within patriarchal social realities. No woman or human being deserves this level of cruelty. Society as a whole must unite in fighting gender-based violence. It is in our power and within our means, even in the smallest way, to contribute to the fight against abuse of women and children. This year coincides with the celebration of 100 years of our struggle icon, O.R. Tambo. In invoking the spirit of O.R. Tambo, we should remain constantly concerned by the extent to which our economy is inclusive of women. This concern would help us measure and assess our progress in relations to gender transformation and empowerment of women. In the words of O.R. Tambo, at the conclusion of the conference of the women's session of the ANC in Luanda, 1981, I quote, he said, "The mobilization of women is the task not only of women alone or of men alone, but of all of us, men and women alike, comrades in the struggle. The mobilization of people into active resistance and struggle for liberation demands the energies of women no less than of men. A system based on the exploitation of men by men can in no way avoid the exploitation of women by the male members of society. There is, therefore, no way in which women in general can liberate themselves without fighting to the end and the exploitation of men by men, both as a concept and as a social system," close quote. The freedom that we enjoy today, which we must never take for granted, is an outcome of selfless efforts of freedom fighters, which include women led by O.R. Tambo. Our Vision 2030 of the National Development Plan and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals set targets for addressing persistent discrimination against women and addressing patriarchal attitude and access to education. The department will monitor the extent to which employment is expanded to provide work for the unemployed with a specific focus on young women. Further, our programs are still structured to respond to the United Nations Sustainable Goals, particularly Goal 5, which seeks to achieve gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. The primary mandate of the department is to lead, coordinate, and oversee the transformation agenda on women's socio-economic empowerment, their rights and equality. The department has received an unqualified audit for the financial years 2014-15, 2015-16, respectively. I want to commit that we will continue to strive to achieve clean audits for the remaining final years of this term. Chairperson, today we're tabling the budget allocation for the financial year 2017-18, which is total of 206.1 million. The net budget of the department is 127 allocation to compensation of employees, goods, services, transfers and subsidies and capital payment. The 78 million rand, 0.2, is a transfer payment to the Commission for Gender Equality, a critical institution of our constitutional democracy. The money for this financial year is allocated across 3 budget programs as follows: social transformation and economic empowerment with an allocation of 9.6 million rand, the policy stakeholder coordination and knowledge management with an allocation of 26.7 million rand, administration with an allocation of 83 million rand. The department restructuring has prioritized the needs for management competency to drive our programs. This was necessary to address the misalignment of a department with higher percentage of lower skills employees. When the department was formed, its ICT was linked to the presidency. We have now established our own separate ICT unit with separate ICT license, and we are confident that this will improve the performance of our systems. After restructuring, the percentage of administrative staff across the department now constitute 18%, middle management constitutes 20%, and senior management represents 62%. I'm bringing this to the attention of the House to recognize that we are no longer a top-heavy department. Overall, the restructuring of the department is now streamlined in 2 line function programs to deliver efficiently on the mandate. With the limited resources that we have not been able to fully realize O.R. Tambo's vision outlined in 1981. We will focus on, amongst others, government's implementation of the 9-point plan in unblocking obstacles to the financial inclusion and empowerment of women. Elements of the 9-point plan that the program will be focusing on including monitoring, ownership, and management control, development, finance, and enterprise development, access to credit, land, and property. In his State of the Nation, our president called on government to continue prioritizing women's access to economic opportunities, and in particular to business financing and credit. In collaboration with the research institutions, we will assess the contribution of government incentive schemes to empowerment of women in terms of employment, socioeconomic empowerment, and development. We hope that this study will shed light on areas of our economy where women are less involved. The findings will help us understand the extent to which our economic growth is inclusive and shared, and to help government implement appropriate measures for redress. We will also be able to be looking into the integrating gender and international plans, programs, and budget. We will engage the Department of Public Service and Administration on correct location and functions of gender focal points. The department has established a multi-departmental national task team to develop a policy framework for provisions of free sanitary towel to indigent girls and women. The task team is led by the Director General and has since started working on a draft policy framework on government provisions of sanitary dignity products. Chair, they're disturbing me, Chair. Can you intervene? Our policy's proposal is informed by the premise that no woman would have to make a choice between sanitary towel and a meal. Our business case proposes an integrated public policy to support sanitary dignity products to indigent girls and young women, learners in government schools, students in higher education, and women in the care of the state. During the 16 days of activism, President Jacob Zuma launched our national dialogues as a hashtag 365 days of no violence against women and children in Limpopo. The objective of our national dialogues is to strengthen community participation and for us to address the magnitude of violence against women, to understand its manifestations and causes, and to enhance community action. Lessons from our pilot in the Limpopo have revealed some social challenges confronting our communities. Amongst others, its high rate of unemployment, incest, alcohol abuse, with men spending more time in shebeens, and the belief that raping an elderly will cure AIDS. Men refusing to go home for various medical tests, all of which contribute to violence against women. We have worked together with Ekurhuleni Skills Development Center, where we have identified 20 young women in Limpopo who will be coming to Ekurhuleni for skills development. And these are women who come from indigent families who are now undergoing training. We will be rolling out dialogues in Mpumalanga province. Our Techno Girl program continues to create opportunities for girls on job shadowing in partnership with private sector companies, state agencies and organizations during school holidays. Today, the program has produced over 12,000 women who have been absorbed by different industries. Partners agreed that there will be continuity in supporting the girls beyond high school to ensure sustainability of the initiatives. In celebrating Africa Month today, tomorrow is the 25th day and Africa Day. The approach by our government and department, we are deciding to link the Africa Month to African children. Our Take a Girl Child to Work program in partnership with CELSI will include participants from schoolgirls from SADC countries to ensure that young people embrace the theme of togetherness. We are one. We will also be hosting Miss Lesotho, Miss Namibia, and Miss Botswana, and Miss South Africa as role models for our young learners. We have included 2 girls from each SADC country will be coming to job shadow and learn from us, and a total of 36 girls from Gauteng province and 2 girls from each province will be participating. The program to Take a Girl Child to Work intends to advance the girl child through job shadowing. The theme for this year is Dream, Believe, and Achieve. The campaign is in line with Goal 5 of Sustainable Development Goals to promote women empowerment and gender equality. Over the years, this campaign has assisted the girl child to make informed choices on their future careers. Also to mention that last year, a record of 720 corporate partnered with CELSI to host an estimated 50,000 schoolgirls from grade 10 to grade 12. I wish to commend CELSI for the continued efforts to uplift and empower young girls. Equally so, wish to commend all the companies that are participating in the campaign and wish to encourage others to join. Corporate South Africa's valuable contribution to the education of our nation to make us proud is very important. Next, this year we will be celebrating Women's Month in August. As a tribute, as usual, to the 20,000 women who marched to the Union Building on 9th of August 1956 in protest against the extension of past laws to women, but also which has led us to be free today, I stand in this podium as a beneficiary of those mothers who marched to Union Building. This year we'll be celebrating our celebration will be taking place under the theme, Women United in Moving South Africa Forward. Whilst there is a good reason to celebrate, it must also be borne in mind that there is more to be done in order to address the plight of women. The national celebrations will be held in Northern Cape Province, and all efforts will be made in highlighting the plight of women in that province. The Women's Month programs will also include the province on the national dialogues on violence against women being rolled out in the Northern Cape. This government has made remarkable advances in promoting and advancing the interest of women across our society. In terms of political representation, in our judiciary, where 36% are women, and in corporate and in overall improvements in livelihood for women and mothers in our rural areas. The discourse of women participation in our economy must fit into the minds of all decision makers. It is about accepting the same qualities in women unconditionally as they are in men. Recent studies have found correlation between full participation of women in the economy, growing family incomes, and economic growth. The pool of companies with diverse boards has grown enough to establish evidence and not rely on untested assumptions. It is not only about women in corporate boards, but it is equally about women as executive directors involved in day-to-day operations of a business. It is the position of this government that it is only through full engagement of the talents and skills of women in the workplace that will grow our economy and become more productive and prosperous as a nation. We acknowledge that women remain economically marginalized and underrepresented in such spaces as academia. We have fewer women professors nationally, few women in business and in construction and other technical industries. However, I wish to acknowledge the increased number of women in higher places and in women ways replete with intellectual beauty. When I talk about beauty, I don't talk about my skin. I'm talking about inner beauty. We commend the President once more for appointing Justice Mandisa Maya as the female president of the Supreme Court of Appeal. We wish her well and success in this critical role in one of the three branches of our constitutional democracy. This should help inspire young women, law students, advocates, and attorneys to aim higher and believe they too can make it. I would like also to applaud all the women who were recipients of the national orders conferred by President Zuma on Freedom Day this year. Earlier this year, representatives of member states gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York for the 61st Commission on the Status of Women to evaluate progress on gender equality, identify challenges, set global standards, formulate concrete policies to promote gender equality and the advancement of women worldwide. The Commission this year deliberated under the theme of women's economy, economic empowerment in the changing world of work. The CSW 21 session concluded with a set of agreed conclusions in which South Africa insisted on inclusion of critical issues such as sexual harassment, women's rights, labor association, access to broadband by women and girls, addressing the SDG as a whole, as this a barrier to women's economic empowerment in the changing world of work. In preparation for the 2018 CSW 62nd session, the department will work in collaboration with other government departments, civil society, and private sector to advance our national interest and views for the purpose of influencing the global agenda on the theme which says, challenges and opportunities in achieving gender equality and the empowerment of rural women and girls. And I want to pause, Chair, that this must not cause conflict and tension who goes to New York, who doesn't go. In parallel with 61st Session Commission, UN Youth Forum held a successful second sitting focusing on issues relating to education and skills development for young men and women, access to finances and economic opportunities, combating alcohol and substance abuse, and dealing with issues of HIV. While South African youth participated for the first time this year, we need to ensure international exposure and participation of South Africa consistently at the UN CSW Youth Forum on the empowerment of young women as leaders. The department will liaise with all partners in South Africa, as well government departments, to identify young people who can be participants at this newly established forum. The SADC meeting of the ministers responsible for gender and women affairs, held in June 16 in Gaborone, Botswana, make recommendations now approved for amendments to the SADC protocol on gender development, which includes the prohibition of marriage of girls below the age of 18. Therefore, noting that the SADC protocol on gender development is a legally binding instrument, as South Africa, we need to align our laws in a way that will make sure that we advance the interest of the girl child. South Africa is also a signatory to the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child in 1997, and we subsequently rectified the same in the year 2000. Amongst others, the Charter seeks to protect children under harmful social and cultural practices and prohibits the betrothal of girls and boys. It also calls upon governments to enact legislation to specify the minimum age of marriage to be 18 years and make compulsory the registration of all marriages in an official register. It is important to emphasize our commitment to regional legal instruments to address discriminatory and violence against women. We will be working with Department of Justice and Constitutional Development on amendments to review the reservations placed by South Africa on Maputo Protocol.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order. Order, honorable members. Can we please order? Honorable member of the DA, you can't interject the speaker on the podium.
I'm sorry,
Can
Madam
you
Chair.
stand? Can you stand?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Can
But
you-
if I may, heckling is allowed in a debate. And this the
Order,
member at the
honourable
podium
member.
just asked me if I'm
Order.
drunk.
Honorable
I
member, can you
object.
take your seat? Heckling is allowed, but drowning a speaker is not allowed. And I was trying, no, honorable members, I was trying to appeal to all of you that we can converse, we can heckle, but not in a manner that disturbs anyone on the podium, not just the minister. Any honorable member who's on the podium has a right to be heard. And I'm appealing. This room is smaller than the National Assembly, and therefore the noise level becomes much higher. So I'm appealing to all of us that even though we do what we have to do as parliamentarians, filibustering, heckling, but we must also be cognizant that the space in which we are is not like in the National Assembly. And therefore, it's easy to distract somebody on the podium. And I don't think that is our intention. Exactly. Can you proceed, Minister?
Thank you, Chair. It is important to emphasize our commitment to regional legal instruments to address discrimination and violence against women. We will be working with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development on amendments to review the reservations placed by South Africa on the Maputo Protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the Rights of Women in Africa. The protocol enshrines the principle of non-discriminatory on the ground of race, ethnicity, color, sex, language, religion, political, or any other opinion, national and social origin, fortune, birth, or other status. Furthermore, the 2017 African Union theme, Harnessing the dividend through the youth, in line with Malabo Declaration theme, creating employment for accelerating youth development and empowerment, to harness demographic dividend from the young women population. We should ensure that young women have access to developmental finance and developmental opportunities. We should ensure that at national level, we create opportunities through vocational and technical training and the removal of all barriers that prevent the female youth from labor force participation. In addition, the department will be engaging the Department of Justice and Constitutional to address some of the deficiencies of the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act of 2000. This is necessary to prevent and prohibit unfair discrimination and harassment in relations to women, promote equality and eliminate unfair discrimination, and also prevent hate speech. May I take this opportunity, Chair, to thank my Director General, Ms. Jenny Schreiner, and her team for their continued support and their sterling work in repositioning the department to meet its new mandate. In conclusion, as we look on the years since the establishment of this department, we are alive to the reality that we are not yet what we shall be, but we are growing towards it. The process is not yet finished. Allow me, Chair, to remind this House once more of the message by President Oliver Tambo on the occasion of the 72nd anniversary of the African National Congress, where he said, I quote, "Our struggle will be less than powerful, and our nation and social emancipation can never be complete if we continue to treat the women of our country as dependent minors and objects of one form of exploitation or another. Certainly, no longer should it be that a woman's place is in the kitchen. In our beleaguered country, the woman's place is in the battlefront of struggle." Close quote. Freedom would be meaningless if the majority of our citizens cannot walk freely in our streets. Freedom will be meaningless if our children cannot play freely in their neighborhood. Freedom will be meaningless if the home is no longer a safe place to be. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable the Chairperson of the committee, Honorable Memela.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, Honorable members of the Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Budget Vote 13 speaks to, and I'm going to mention the names, Karabo Mokoena, 22, Lerato Molloy, 27, Poppy Kwabe, 24, Bongega Pungula, 28, Ketney Peters, 3, and the many other nameless, faceless women who die in the hands of gender-based violence, and for the millions more who die every day at the hands of our patriarchal society. Women around the world have historically faced barriers that have hindered their ability to contribute meaningfully and the active participants in the economy. The legacy of apartheid in the context of South Africa is twofold. The man was expected to be at work. The white man would be found in his office and in position of power, while the black man's work was predominantly found in the labor-intensive sector. Both racial groups, despite the respective disparities, played active roles in the economic, prospects of the country. Black and white women, on the other hand, were expected to assume the domestic roles in upkeeping the homestead. Whichever side of racial spectrum you were on, the manifestation of patriarchy has always been a consistent factor. Patriarchy has always been deeply engraved in cultural, educational, and social upbringing. Hence, when the country gained its democracy in 1994, the ANC government dealt with legislative reform, but in hindsight, the shortfall of these reforms was the inability to dismantle a capitalist system inevitably continues to perpetrate patriarchy. United Nations Women correctly observed that while there has been much progress towards women's rights over the decades, many gaps remain. For women's rights to become a universal reality, UN Women believe that it is critical to address the structural causes of gender inequality, such as violence against women, unpaid care work, limited control over assets and property, and unequal participation in private and public decision-making. ANC remains committed to the vision of a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous South Africa, as enshrined in the Freedom Charter. The advancement of gender equality in an ideal that transcends our policies and should thus assist us towards the realization of a national democratic society. Strategy and Tactics document of 2012 correctly notes that while all communities, including the oppressors and the oppressed, evinced patriarchal relations of power, the struggle evolved to appreciate the real and potential role of women, and that their liberation from patriarchy was and should be an integral part of the new democracy. Working off the backdrop of apartheid, as well as the gap that had been unintentionally left by the ANC government, it is worth noting that the first 2 decades of democracy can be characterized by major advancements made by this government, some which include the establishment of a democratic, non-racial, and non-sexist political order, the introduction of democratic rights for all citizens, and the establishment of vibrant institutions. A constitution that forms the underlying foundation for women's development, gender equality, and a non-sexist society, and given effect through policies, legislations, and institutions to give effect to this vision. The realization of mainstreaming gender equality found expression in 2007, when the ANC made progress with the establishment of a women's ministry, with its mandate to champion the advancement of women's socio-economic empowerment and the promotion of gender equality. In President Jacob Zuma's 2017 State of the Nation address, the following highlights which affect the Department of Women were identified. To continue mainstreaming of the empowerment of women in all government programs. Prioritize women access to economic opportunities, in particular business financing and credit. Encouraging women to consider farming in order for them to benefit from government-supported programs such as smallholder farmers and its commercialization. Gender equality in any society is a basic human right, and the implementation of these rights are a priority to the ANC. Human rights, redress, and transformation, inclusively and social justice are only but a few principles that underpin the ANC's social transformation efforts. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights fits into many national constitutions, which expresses and acts as a basis of all human rights. Article 2 in this document states that everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political, or other opinion, national and social origin, property, birth, or other status. Program 2, the department looks at the social transformation and economic empowerment of women in South Africa. The program facilitates and promotes the attainment of women's socioeconomic empowerment and gender equality. The program has 5 sub-programs which pay particularly attention to achieving the program purpose. Programs look at the coordination of campaigns and projects that contribute to the elimination of gender-based violence, developing interventions that allow women to have equal access to opportunities and participation in the mainstream economy, and finally promote equality and respect women's rights. I'll leave the program because the minister has, the finances, because the minister has actually spoken to. Our annual targets for 2017 and 18 look at the developing, finalizing, and possibly implementation of policy frameworks such as that of the provision of sanitary dignity, pads to indigenous girls and women, women's financial inclusion, analysis of progress and impact on women of each component of the 9-point plan, the gender-responsive budgeting and cabinet consideration of the report of the outcome of national dialogues, targets that relate to the access to sanitary pads, and the financial inclusion of women speak to the continuation of the access to education for girls and young women, and the ability to participate in sport, cultural and social programs. It also speaks to accessing jobs, gender equity in employment, and equal pay for equal work of equal value. This addresses poverty and inequality in our communities and to ensure financial independence of women. The improvement of the economic situation is realized in the 9-point plan with an aim of creating an environment in which both the private and public sectors play an active role in the creation of jobs, such as President Zuma has issued a directive to the economic ministers to place women on the center of these plans and to ensure appropriate resourcing the empowerment of women in the economy. Having considered the strategic plan, annual performance plans and budget for the Department of Women in the Presidency, and the Commission for Gender Equality, the committee recommends as follows. A more astute and stringent oversight measures was required to hold the department to account when receiving funding, but not delivering, as this was an indictment on the women in the country. A committee recommends that the Minister of Women in the Presidency ensures the following are implemented. Smart
You
targets.
have got 1 minute left.
Okay. Inasmuch as South Africa has put policies in place to protect vulnerable groups within society, women in particular remain disproportionately vulnerable to poverty. The social grants system is a representative of the milestone that government has taken to prioritize these vulnerable groups. When looking at female-headed households versus male-headed households, for an example, wage makes up a larger proportion of total income in male-headed households than in female-headed households. It is worth noting that more conscious efforts need to be taken by all members of society, starting with the family upbringing and right up to the ways in which males and females are socialized.
Thank you, the
ANC
time has expired now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
ANC supports the budget.
Thank you, the Honorable Robinson.
Honourable Chairperson, colleagues and visitors. In recent weeks, South Africa has been rocked by the news coverage of the horrific suffering of victims of rape, abuse and assault, and the anguish and heartache of the families who have been brutally murdered, set alight, stabbed and raped. I offer my sincere condolences on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. There's a profound sense of sadness and shame amongst us at the loss of the characteristic South African Ubuntu. What is it that has caused the brutalization of our nation, the loss of moral compass, the political and economic uncertainties, the debilitating poverty of a fragmented society? Or is it because we lack inspirational leaders in government who can be role models for young men in particular, showing what moral values, honesty and integrity are, and have not themselves been caught up in corruption, self-gratification and indulgence? South Africans will never forget the tragic fate of Kwezi, who was abandoned and hounded out of the country, and many others who have been victims of patriarchal attitudes that dictate that women are inferior beings whose human rights and wishes can be ignored or sacrificed at the whim of a demanding, greedy or jealous man. As parliamentary leaders, we need to work through the racial polarization that is being fomented deliberately as a diversionary tactic. We need to set aside the divisive politics and look at healing a broken and suffering nation. After all, the first responsibility of government is the safety and security of its people. Sadly, the institutions of state that are meant to ensure this are flawed, particularly SAPS and the Department of Justice. We need tangible outputs from the Department of Women, where there seems to be a lot of paper shuffling from its top-heavy administrative component, even to the extent of changing its APP 1 month before the end of the financial year. They do not seem to have any clear direction after all this time. A constant frustration of the committee has been the department's lack of interest in attending oversight visits, usually quoting staff shortages, limited capacity, and fiscal limitations. Yet the department sent a large delegation of 9 officials to attend the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, and they remained twice as long as the parliamentarians. As committee members, we express concern that we do not receive legislative input from the department in terms of bills coming to Parliament. For example, the Traditional Courts Bill. This is an important omission, as it is vital that we, as portfolio representing women, give our input, as this will affect the status and quality of life of rural women. The lives of women and their families are often devastated by domestic and gender-based violence. Not only do they suffer physically and emotionally from the assaults, but often suffer secondary trauma when they approach the police because of the unsympathetic treatment they receive from some officers, or being ignored and sent away by the officer in charge, who happens to be a drinking buddy of the perpetrator. It's also been reported that police officers do not respond to complaints of infringement of protection orders. This is unacceptable, as in many cases, this is the only protection a woman has. Our police are not taking this issue seriously. The women suffer, and more training and sensitivity training is needed. There are insufficient female officers to assist victims, and often there's not even a secluded place where the questioning can take place. Compulsory victim-friendly rooms are not found in over 189 police stations nationwide. Is this a government that cares? Police officers need to receive specialized training in how to deal with assault, and many of them are uninformed. I recently visited a police station where none of the officers on duty could give me the telephone number of the FCS unit in their cluster. What does that say about lack of training and caring? The DA is pleased that the FCS units that we lobbied for so vigorously have been reinstated, but there are far too few of them to provide an adequate service to all citizens. I was glad to hear the new Minister of Police stating in his speech yesterday that he was going to make funding available to improve infrastructure and provide more vehicles. I hope Minister Balula will also make sure that we have more Tutuzela centers built, as they are desperately needed. These are one-stop shop concepts where victims of abuse can report the abuse, lay charges, receive medical treatment, and have access to social workers. These centers are usually found in towns and cities, and not in the vast rural areas where women have to walk great distances to reach police stations, hospitals, or clinics. In most cases, they just suffer in silence and receive no help, and so the patriarchal attitudes are conveyed to the children, who also suffer, but will often become abusers as well in later life, a vicious circle. Greater consultation by the Department of Women with the Department of Justice could also help to lobby for improved court service. There are too few magistrates, prosecutors, clerks, maintenance officers. Many court cases are remanded time and time again. One case was remanded 69 times. I believe that a moratorium has been placed on the appointment of new staff in all positions within the justice system because of a lack of funding. Imagine the current situation going from bad to worse. We cannot do this to our citizens. Savings must be found elsewhere. Funding reprioritized from some lavish event or trip. Minister Shabangu, please add your voice to mine and be a champion. Be strong. We cannot allow our citizens, especially women, to suffer more in the magistrates' courts or in the maintenance court. We need to be resolute and strong and demand what is right for the mothers of our nation and future generations. Enkosi, ndiyabulela.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Kaula.
Ngibonga isihlalo. Mhlonishwa wami lapho ngaphambili. CEFF ayi level 13 siyayichitha. Inkinga eyenza ukuthi sichithe lo mnyango awukhombisi ukukhathalela abantu besifazane neze. Ngabe kwezomnotho kanjalo nezokuthuthukiswa kwezamakhono. Akukho nokugodwa okubonakalayo okuwumthelela obhekelele ukuthi bayazibona beneqhaza abangalibamba emphakathini ukulisana nobupha nendlala. Kuyimanje kunemali engaphezulu kwezigidi ezingamakhulu 203
On a point of order, House Chair. Sorry
Just hold
to,
on, Honorable Kaula.
I'm sorry to interject, that is not how I operate. Unfortunately, the translation is not working. Can you please arrange that?
Thank you very much. Can one of the table staff just check around the issue of translation? Proceed, Honorable Kaula.
Bengizocela ke leli minute lami noma ama minute obasekuhambe 5 niwa add. Kanjalo nakubantu besifazane. Sikhulume ngokubulawa kwabantu besifazane nokushushumbiswa kwabo kanjalo nabantwana kulelizwe elibuswa yiANC. Lo hulumeni weANC wehlulekile ukuvikela abantu besifazane. Lo hulumeni ubudedengu kakhulu futhi ukhombisa ukungabi nandaba nokuhlaselwa kwabantu besifazane nabantwana. Kuyimanje baphelile abantu besifazane njengoba sebebalele lokungcula ingobe eyodwa. Bese kuthi lana asilalelane batakwethu asilwi la. Uhulumeni makazame ukulandela lamasonto angoqhibukhowe agcwele umhlaba wonke okutholakala ukuthi iningi lawo abamba abantu bakithi izimali zabi kakhulu njalo besifazane bebethembisa inqina kamabuyaze baphinde bashushumbise abesimame nabantwana njengoba sibonile uPastor Mothoso. Umnyango mawuphume uye kubantu uyolalela izidingo zabo. Ufunde ukuya emphakathini uyofundisa abantu ngamalungelo abo. Ikakhulukazi emakhaya. Ngoba emakhaya abantu bakhona bagcina bezwile kodwa bakaze kuyiwe kubona kugcina noma ngabe ikhona lemicimbi igcina emalokishini. Okubuhlungu lo mnyango uphethwa abantu bakithi abamnyama. Uminister yena ngeke ngimshaye kakhulu kodwa ngizomshaya. Why ngizomshaya? Phela njobe kulomhlanga njobe kulomnyango uyena kanye esithembele ukuphepha kwabantu bakithi ukuthi bazoba right bazophepha kakhulukazi abantu besifazane. Uma nje ungaya lapha ya eThekwini njengamanje kuchithwa amaphinifo abantu besifazane bayadayisa bayathunga. Uminister simbone phela lekelela labantu ukuthi abanikeze indlela okuya phambili. Kanjalo nokulima niyabona emhlabeni khona ondwede bayalima. Akabanike phela izimali kuze baphile kuze bangadependeli kubantu besifazane. Omama basemakhaya abanayo imhlaba indawo azikushoti khona. Angiphathi ke ukuhlukunyezwa bengenelwa emakhaya. Bakithi kunenkinga embi ngicela umhlaba wonke uyizwe lento ba yihlazo kuthina special abantu abamnyama uthola ukuthi ugogo useyintandana akasenangani ingane seyikhule mhlawumbe sezashona kuyafiwa manje. Uthola ukuthi ade yohola imali lengekho yesibonelelo phela imali ekhishwa uhulumeni weNC incane ifana nale abantwana ayikho. Into eyenzekayo laba bantu inswela boya ngifuna zizwe seyiqala intembi lapha kwamaphumulo sibonile behlasela ogogo bebahlukumeza bebashaya bebaphuca imali. Ngithi minister ngiyacela ukuthi lento ayikeyisabalala ngoba even nangapha eEastern Cape konquza sikutholile futhi ukuthi kuyenzeka. Laba bantu fanele ke betholakale baboshwe. And minister khona into engihlezi ngikhala ngayo ekomidini ukuthi ngiyacela what 7 emthandeni ngizocela ukuthi minister ngokukhulu ukukhuleka wenze show ukuthi minister uyalwa ukuthi emakhaya akabe khona lento okuthiwa ama-mobile bayafa ugogo unnecessary.
Your time has expired.
Ngenxa ukuthi awekho ama-mobile if engenayo imali yokugibela aye eklinikhi akakwazi. Ama-police station siyawacela awungiyeke esihlalo bakithi ngithe kuno 5 minutes wami odliwe.
Bonge kakhulu.
Minister
Thank you.
siyacela bakithi lo mnyango usebenze ngiyabonga.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable members, we are informed that we have got challenges of Zulu translation. I'm sure you'll be knowing that 3 houses are sitting now. Thank you very much. The Honorable van der Merwe.
Honourable Chairperson, at the outset, I wish to pay tribute on behalf of the IFP to all the women and children who have lost their lives in the most brutal and horrific manner in recent days. We mourn their loss and we honour their memory. In recent years, we have paid tribute to Kwesi, to Anine Boysen and Riva Steenkamp. And herein lies the problem with this debate. Every year we come to this podium to approve this budget of this department and others, and in the process we pay lip service to the issues affecting women. But when we leave here, we act like there's no crisis. We ignore the fact that our women and children are facing war at home and on our streets. And until the 16 Days of Activism campaign rolls around again, MPs dust off their speeches, come back to this podium, and we quote stale statistics. But no tangible difference is ever made to stop gender-based violence and empower our women. We need to be honest with ourselves that we, as leaders of our society, is not doing enough, and our government is simply not doing enough. For as long as women remain on the fringes of our economy, for as long as women still earn less than men, and while our women are raped and killed, tortured, we are failing our women. The Department of Women in the Presidency has got limited resources and capacity, but its core function is that of monitoring and evaluation. And in this regard, they are unfortunately invisible. The department remains in a perpetual state of reorganization and replanning. The bulk of its minuscule budget is spent on administration, while core programs are underfunded and therefore ineffective. Without a monitoring and evaluation tool, it cannot perform its basic function of holding to account those that fail our women and our children. The officials of this department attend to work in New York, but when it comes to oversight work here at home, they are constrained by budget limitations. This, Honourable Minister, is not good enough. And I thank you for your honest assessment that we are not quite there where we need to be. But beyond empty rhetoric and platitudes, we need urgent political will to address women's issues. As a start, we need to reject the department's appetite for talk shops and seminars. The time for talking is long over. Instead, what we need now is a national funded plan to fight gender-based violence, drawing together all sectors of our society. It must replace the current failed government plan and bolster grassroots initiatives like the Not in My Name campaign. Minister, you've expressed a view, which I now believe you have corrected, that the late Karabo Mokoena was weak, which led to her succumbing to gender-based violence. This is simply not true. She sought help from authorities, but what did police do? They did nothing. Don't howl at me. I'm repeating what I'm saying. The minister even corrected
No
it.
point of order, House Chairperson.
She sought help from authorities, but what did the police do?
Order.
Nothing.
Let's
The
avoid
system
exchanges.
failed her.
Honorable members, let's avoid exchanges with the member on the podium.
Chairperson, can I
Chairperson,
Just hold a second, van der Merwe.
House Chairperson,
Yes.
can you please protect our members when they're at the podium? Especially the opposition. Please, Chairperson, react immediately.
And also, if
Yes,
members
I'll
listen, I did
protect
say
all
the minister
members in the
corrected
House.
herself.
Thank you very
So I don't
much.
know what the
Proceed.
problem is. What I'm saying is that she went to the police didn't assist her, and the system failed her. In fact, many women who are battered, bruised, shaken, and weary rise up. They rise up against all odds, and they find the courage to seek help at a police station, and then they are turned away. At hospitals, women face a second round of
1 minute
victimization
left.
when they are told that they've brought the abuse upon themselves. Government has not prioritized shelters in our communities, and to make matters worse, the justice system fails our women by not successfully prosecuting perpetrators of violence. And what good is it to have a gender-based violence call center if no one knows the number? For example, does any of us here know what Social Development's gender-based violence call center number is? We don't. Minister, as the custodian of the rights of women, you must lead the charge at cabinet level to right these wrongs. It cannot be that we have a system that allows abusers to feel safer than the victims of abuse. We cannot ask our communities, our men and boys, to rise up if we are sitting back. Minister, I thank you for fulfilling your promise to me during last year's budget vote to prioritize the delivery of sanitary pads to needy schoolgirls. Minister, why are you laughing? Minister, it's time to start delivering on your core mandate. You must hold to account departments that are failing our women. Unless you get the basics right, the fight for gender equality will be lost. Despite these concerns, we support your budget because it's far too small anyway. Let us rise together and renew our fight to ensure the true emancipation of every woman and child that we are meant to protect. I thank you.
The Honorable Kubisa.
Malbongwe. Thank you, Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, Ministers present, and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members. The stated purpose of the Department of Women is to lead, coordinate, and oversee the transformation agenda on women's socio-economic empowerment, rights, and equality, and to champion gender equality and the achievement of women's economic empowerment and rights. Having said that, Chairperson, as we engage in this debate today, we need to ponder these questions very seriously. What has gone wrong in our country? Why do we wake up every day with ugly news of the murder of our grandmothers, mothers, sisters, and our children? The brutal murder of Karabo, Mkwena, Courtney, Peters, and many other women and children is really shocking and very abominable in our country. Does it mean that our criminal justice system is so weak? Really, no minute, no second passes by without a woman raped, kidnapped, beaten, or killed. This phenomenon, Chairperson, is outrageous. We need a criminal justice system which will ensure that perpetrators of violence, especially gender-based violence against women and children, are arrested, charged, and sentenced, and rot in jail immediately. This then puts a challenge and a heavy responsibility on the security cluster of the government and other sectors of our community. The National Freedom Party wants to state it categorically today that our criminal justice system must be seen to be harsh and ruthless to those who are perpetrators of gender-based violence. Women and our children are not just statistics. They must be treated with the dignity they deserve. Other questions, Honorable Chairperson, that are pertinent to this debate are we doing enough to social and economically empower our women and our daughters, to expose them to the rigors of the world of work, business, and entrepreneurship? Do they get access to education and skills to assist them towards taking a leadership role in the public and private sectors? This then begs the question, Chairperson, 23 years into democracy, how many women are senior managers in the public and private sectors? How many of them lead companies that have taken their rightful place in the stock exchange? We have to deal with attitudes of patriarchy and chauvinism in our country, Chairperson. With regard to all of the above issues and questions, the National Freedom Party wishes to propose an urgent national summit, Minister. I heard that there will be various dialogues that will be held in various provinces. We cannot sit on our laurels whilst the country is burning. Now, women and children being murdered every day. There is absolutely a need for an urgent national agenda or national dialogue that will include all sectors of our society, government, civil society, NGOs, NPOs, etc. We would like to see the department raising the profile of women in business, reaching out to senior citizens and child-headed household, and getting involved in efforts to generally uplift the girl child in South Africa.
1 minute.
In short, Chairperson, we would like to see the department move away from the silo approach to governance and work with other departments. Chairperson, we support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Tseke.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, Honorable Minister of Women in the Presidency, the guests in the gallery, honorable members of Parliament. Allow me, Honorable Chairperson, to send our heartfelt condolences to all the families and women and children who have been murdered, injured, and raped in our country. My prayers to the family of Letabo Rakhajane from Bosola Khabo section in Marapiane. Letabo is a 16-year-old girl and a grade 11 learner at Mametlake High School. She was last seen on the 30th April 2017. Even today, her whereabouts still remains a mystery. Honorable Chairperson, it is quite concerning and upsetting that at this time in this country, that women and children are terrorized and brutalized, and in most instances by people always pretend to love them. The ANC condemns these brutal attacks against women and children, and we therefore request our justice system to deal decisively with these offenders. We call on our communities to break their silences too. It is also the responsibility of all members to ensure that the rights of women are respected and protected by all as equal citizens, which is in compliance with the Constitution of this country. Honorable members, the responsibility cannot be relegated to women alone, but to men too. The struggle of women is a societal struggle and must be embraced by all of us. Honorable members, I want also to remind the people out there who continues to kill our young girls that it is a violation of women's rights when women and girls are turned into slavery of prostitution. It is a violation of women's rights when women are doused with gasoline set on fire and burned to death because their marriage dowries are deemed too small. It is a violation of women's rights when individual women are raped in their own communities and 1,000 are subjected to rape as a tactic of price of war. And it is a violation of women's rights when young girls are brutalized by the painful and degrading practice of genital mutilation. I repeat, the struggle of women is a societal struggle and it must be embraced by all of us across political parties, Honorable Robinson. This is not a matter of politics. As the Portfolio Committee, we have taken a very serious resolution, honorable members, that will arrange a stakeholder engagement on gender-based violence with a view of convening in cooperation with other relevant parliamentary committees, a gender-based violence summit to address the scourge of violence perpetrated against women and children in the country. These are just elements that seek to reverse the gains that the ANC has fought for so hard of building an unracial and unsexist, a prosperous and a democratic society. President O.R. Tambo once said, recognized that the struggle for national liberation is intrinsically linked to the emancipation of women and advocated that women must take up their roles among the fighting ranks of our movement and its commands post. Maloko a parlamente e tlhomphegang, bomme ba na le matla ebile ba na le ditiragalo go tloga ko ga lowe go ka lwanela ditokelo tsa bona. Bomme ba tshwara thipa ka fa bogaleng ke di kgatlamela masisi tse di ka bayang tau botsetse. Mosadi monyo o nyamariga ebile Motswana o buile a re mosadi fa inama ya bo a ikantse motlokolo re tla lwana go fitlhella re tsewa tsia. Honorable Chairperson, the ANC government have made great strides in the advancement of the emancipation of women. Honorable Robinson, in fighting patriarchy and gender oppression, we have implemented many successful programs to advance the economic and social status of women. But we acknowledge, honorable members, that much more still needs to be done. And in terms of the oversight of the department, we are also requesting that honorable members of the DA and Honorable Liesel van der Merwe in the IFP, they must also be part of our oversight because always they are not there, but they can come here and raise, they can critique the department of their absence in the oversight committees. We want you there, we want you on the ground, we want you to communicate, engage with our communities out there. We have continuously.
On a point of order.
Just hold on, Honorable Tseke. Proceed with the point of order.
No, I think the honourable member is misleading the House because we do attend oversight, and if it's not with women, it's with other line departments such as social development and others. So it will be casting a very bad light to say members don't attend
Honorable
oversight.
van der Merwe. It's just unfortunate that you have already spoken and you'll be having an opportunity to rebut that. Proceed, Tseke.
Netia Baba, ke a leboga. We have continuously provided good leadership even in the SADC as Africa, in the SADC countries, Africa and the world. Recently, we have witnessed the election of Metoko Didiza, our House Chairperson, for being elected as the Chairperson of the Commonwealth Women's Chapter in Africa region. We warmly congratulate you, Metoko Didiza. Honorable members, in terms of the legislation, we need to take a radical approach in making sure that we reintroduce the Women Empowerment and Gender Equality Bill, which has lapsed in the fourth parliamentary term. The bill will enforce compliance with women representative in both the private and the public sector. The bill will also compel all political parties, and in those in my left, to implement the 50-50 representation of the women and the participation in all the party activities and party list. Honorable members, we have engaged the Commission for Gender Equality in its strategic plan and the annual plan for 2017-2018. The CGE as a Chapter 9 institution is and has been a crowning glory when it comes to gender equality and women empowerment in this country. I'm happy to inform you, honorable members, that CGE has not disappointed us as the portfolio committee. It has against all odds delivered on its mandate. Let me share with you some of the successes of this institution, an institution with a mammoth task of rewriting the history of women in this country. In the previous year, CGE has been conducting employment equity hearing focusing on gender transformation in various public and private sector institutions. For example, hearings have been conducted with the University of Pretoria, University of Northwest, UCT, VETS, and for 2017-2018, CGE will be focusing on the University of Stellenbosch, University of Free State, and University of Johannesburg. These gender transformation hearings are of vital importance considering that according to the Commission for Employment Equity Report 2015 and to 2017, women representation in senior management is only at 33%. The CGE will also be focusing on assessing the implementation of gender policies and practices within the mining sector, where women representation in top management is only at 15%. The Commission has also investigated and made recommendations in relation to the unconstitutionality of the Utukela municipality's maiden bursary, which was awarded as a result of virginity testing to young girls. And at the moment, they are following up on the implementation of their recommendations with other Chapter 9 institutions, and we are hoping, as the portfolio committee, that we'll get progress on the progress report. It is continuously making some inroads in our rural areas where they are also making use of their community radio stations to access our communities. In addition, they have also partnered with the traditional leaders in making sure that services are brought closer to the communities. Go na le lenaneo le leng gaufi le pelo ya me la go ruta setšhaba ka ditokelo tsa bona le go ruta batho ka melao le melawana e Palamente ya Aforika Borwa e fetisitseng. Morago ga thuto eo, batho ba fiwa nako ya go kwadisa ditletlebo tsa bona mogo bao ba dirang ka melao go ba thusa. Ba le bantsi ba fitlhetse thuso go tswa mo commissioning e. Honorable members, CGE does not only conduct legal clinics for women and endeavor to reach women in rural areas, but also forms part of a delegation as committee on our oversight visits, and not only to know the issues raised by departments, but rather to respond to issues that affect them. And the committee appreciates that as well. In terms of the gaps in the legislation, they had pronounced their position in relation to various issues affecting women, like the decriminalization of sex work, 1 Woman, 1 Hectare program, the reviewal of the 365 days of action to end violence in women and children, gender disparities within your SAFA, there's a football association, South African Football Association, assessing the effectiveness of gender focal points and many other research documents that they have completed. We are also urging the CGE to continue with the program of 1 Woman, 1 Hectare program. And we are hoping that it will yield positive results. At this point, I need to mention the former chairperson of the CGE, Mr. Mfanazwele Shozi, the former chairperson of the CGE, who, under his leadership, it has received a clean audit. His term has ended in December, and we are proud that he left the commission in the stable condition. I would like also to mention the deputy chairperson, Mampumlwane. Her term is going to end in the end of May in 27. The ANC want to convey our appreciation to them and wish them as well well as they embark on their new journeys in their lives. Honorable members, this achievement by the CG are against an inadequate budget for 2017 and 2018 financial year. It has been allocated 78.3 million, which is not sufficient at all. But for years, it has managed to build partnership and alliances with a variety of stakeholders in order to augment the insufficient budget. Honorable members, I strongly commend the CG for all its hard work and to encourage them to continue to fight fearlessly for total emancipation of women in this country. And as the Portfolio Committee of Women, we pledge our unwavering support. Honorable Chair, the provision for the sanitary product is about the children's basic right to dignity. The President Jacob Zuma, has given a directive that indigent girls and women must be given free sanitary products. We want to appreciate the steps taken by the Department of Women in the Presidency as a lead department in making sure that as a country, we come up with a sanitary dignity policy framework. This framework will assist in making sure that there's uniformity in the distribution of the sanitary products in all the provinces. We want to appreciate all the civil society and individual members who have made sure that we gave our indigent learners the sanitary products. I also like to the Portfolio Committee and the Multi-Party Women's Caucus also reiterate to the department that the importance of a zero-rate VAT on all the sanitary products as an issue to pursue, as well as this would enable a broader reach. Chairperson, let me, Honorable Chair, the ANC as a coring organization really appreciates the efforts that have been made by all the civil society and the government departments actually in terms of the distribution of free sanitary towels. In conclusion, Honorable Chair, let me quote Mahatma Gandhi when he says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world. Real men don't rape, they propose."
Thank you.
Hashtag count me in making our country a better and a safe place to live in. The ANC support budget vote 13.
Thank you. The Honorable Majeka.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable ministers, honorable members. The United Democratic Movement supports the budget vote number 13. Violence against women and girls. Okay, thank you. Violence against women and girls is rooted in gender-based discrimination and social norms, and gendered stereotypes that perpetuate such violence. The recent spate of gruesome murder of girls and infants has a devastating effect on girls, women, and society in general. It cannot be left unattended to. As a nation, we must never tolerate crime. The crime against girls, children, and infants must be stopped now. We must do everything legally to prevent it from happening and address its root and structural causes. Prevention must Prevention must support the implementation of the laws, policies, and programs that place a strong focus on the promotion of gender equality, women's empowerment, and their enjoyment of human rights. Those in charge of justice need more sensitivity and a better understanding of the rights of women and children. We must also, through this budget, make homes and public spaces safer for women and girls, ensuring their economic autonomy and security, increase women's participation and decision-making powers. Honorable Chairperson, working together as women, girls, men, and boys, we must accelerate progress in preventing and ending violence against women and girls. Awareness raising and community mobilization, including through our traditional forms of communication, the mainstream and social media must constitute part of our strategy. The Not in My Name campaign by men must be part of our daily lives. It must be a collective responsibility and an obligation of both men and boys to prevent and end violence against girls and women. Working with faith leaders, traditional leaders, and communities, we must change the social norms and harmful practices, acknowledge the act against gender injustices. Government must ensure that the girl child is protected and make available all the institutional function to give security to the girls. Abuse of girls through child labor is illegal, and this department has a responsibility to monitor the labor market and ensure that this is abolished in practice. There must be a concerted drive to ensure that women and girls enjoy full and equal access to education with the necessary support to keep them focused on the development of their future. A girl child
Round
must
up
be,
in 1 minute.
thank you. A girl child must be taught and encouraged to accept that there is no small or insignificant violence. Violence is violence and is a crime, and therefore must be immediately reported to the law enforcement agencies at the time of its occurrence. Law enforcement agencies must be trained and taught on how to respond and manage gender-based violence. Our political parties must be safer zones for women and girls, and we must socialize them so that they are best places to root out the cruelty melted on women and girls. As a society, we must build working families and households and respect human life. In conclusion, Chairperson, criminals who murder our young women must have no place in our homes, political parties, churches, schools, sports and arts and culture, association, and in the society in general. No lenient sentences must be given to these perpetrators, and the justice system has to do more.
Thank you.
I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we have acceded to the request for Honorable Lukota to participate in this debate. There is no electronic communication. His name may not be appearing on the speakers list that you have. We apologize for that. The Honorable Lukota. You are afforded 4 minutes.
Chairperson, colleagues, the subject that we are dealing with is a very sensitive one. But I have been sitting and observing our general behavior. Although we are talking about extremely depressing incidents and so on, I see quite a lot of us making amusement about it and jokes about it. This issue of the position of women in our society is dealing with the majority of the members of our society. I think women are 51% of the population. These are people that rocks the cradle, as the English say. They are the shapers of young people. They cultivate society. And so we can't talk to this issue lightly. When I look at this budget, because all of us are lawmakers, we are the ones who pass the budget. And I noticed that the budget dedicated to this, to the conditions of this 51% of the population, is less than the budget we spend on Gandla. It's less than 249 million. You know what? No, you don't learn if you don't give yourself time to listen. If you don't do that. Why? How is it that all of us as parliamentarians, I'm not saying you, I'm saying all of us, how do we expect to deal with the problems that we are talking about when we give such little amount of budget towards this purpose? And look at it this way. Look at it this way. Of that amount of money that we budget for this purpose, you must see what goes to the prime, or let me say the topmost program. The primary program is that of championing gender equality and the achievement of women's socio-economic empowerment and rights. How much do we give to it? 16.6 million out of 200. So, no, I want to, we must examine ourselves. So 16.6 goes there, and the rest of the money is for staffing, administration, and all of the things that don't impact directly on changing the condition of these people that we are talking about. Look at it again. I understand that the function relating to violence
You left with 1 minute
and
now.
women, oh please, to violence and women was transferred to the Department of Social Development. I don't see anything that says how much of the budget of the Department of Social Development goes to this program. Then I want to say this, because time is finished. Traditional marriages of the Muslims, the Jewish communities, and other communities and so on, which deal with the largest, the poorest of the poor, those marriages, we haven't passed legislation yet to legalize them. So the husbands pass on, the wives can't claim the inheritance, the children of those families cannot claim inheritance. Why have we taken so long to pass legislation recognizing these traditional marriages, the majority of which is being pursued by the majority of the people of our country?
Thank you on that question.
Well,
Thank you very
Hope
much.
calls for the increment of this budget. Thank you.
The Honorable Stanner.
Ndifuna mbuze ixesha. Ndifuna njonge ixesha. Siyafika?
Proceed, you're losing time.
No, I haven't started. If reflecting on the number of tragic incidents reported on lately, and you find yourself asking, who has failed our women and why? Well, your answer is seated in that very bench today. In response to my questions in committee, Minister Shabangu could not name one thing attributed to her department that meaningfully impacted the lives of women. Instead, she complained of underfunding and blamed her own administration for being bloated, undercapacitated, because she had people that she was stuck with, and that nothing could be done about it. More than 60% of the budget is spent on salaries and services, while the core mandates to champion the advancement of women's socio-economic empowerment and promote gender in the country go underfunded. The annual performance plan targets are repeatedly changed, and it is unfortunate that the Department of Women does not prioritize women and has no intelligible plan for women. The lack of leadership and direction is revealed by the statements made by Minister Shabangu during a recent interview with ENCA's Checkpoint, and I quote, the minister said, Karabo came across as strong, but she was internally weak. She was weak, and hence she became a victim of abuse. Today you have the audacity to deny that you spoke those words. Today, in this very
Point of
debate,
order, Chair.
she has called
Order, honorable members.
my colleague, she has called
Honorable
my
Stanner.
colleague drunk.
Honorable Stanner.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Stanner, just hold on a second. Honorable
Chair.
Minister, is that a point of order?
Yes. I would like the honorable
Proceed.
member to withdraw to say, I have the audacity. There she says, I have the audacity. You know, that's a very rough word.
Sihlalo,
It's
that is a point of
parliamentary.
debate.
It's not a point of debate.
Chairperson,
Let us first
Chairperson.
finish with the first order.
Can this woman
No,
refrain from talking
Honor-
about the Karabo family?
Honorable
The family
Raputi.
is still hurt, and she's
of order,
coming to
House
come
Chair.
and
Honorable
politicize this
Raputi.
thing. You are so
Honorable
heartless.
Raputi.
Point of order,
You
House
are
Chair.
so heartless. I'm
Honorable
telling you.
Raputi, just sit.
Point
Hold on,
of order,
Honorable
House
Minister.
Chair.
Order.
You are so heartless. And this
Order,
English
honorable
came by
members.
ship.
Order, House Chair.
Don't come and
Order,
accuse
honorable
our
member.
minister here. You are
Order,
heartless,
honorable
woman.
member.
You must sit down.
Honorable Raputi, please sit down.
Very heartless.
Order, honorable member. Switch off the mic, Honorable Raputi. Thank you very much. What's it? Honorable member. Yes. Honorable members. Order, Honorable Raputi. Honorable Minister, I think it is the first time that we hear what you have complained about. Give us an opportunity to go and consider your point of order, and then we'll come back and respond on it. Thank you very much. Honorable Standard, proceed.
I'm sorry, Chair, before you
Course.
allow her to proceed.
Hold on, Honorable Standard.
Honorable
Is that
Chair,
a point of order?
I know the honorable member is very emotional, but I think we need to respect each other in this house, and we still have to stick to the rules. So I think to say to him, this is honorable member, it doesn't matter
a
how
point
you
of
feel
order,
about it,
Chairperson.
you still address her as honorable
On a
member.
point of order.
Rather than to say
On a
that
point of
woman.
order,
I've
Chairperson.
tried to plead with her. That's why she's quiet now. Thank you very much. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. You can't do what you are doing because you are really dealing with the decorum of this house. We have pleaded with you on this particular matter. Everybody has heard your concern, and we have pleaded with you for us to be able to proceed. Can we allow the Honorable Standard to proceed?
Point of order, Chairperson. Point of order, Chair.
Okay, what's the point of order?
Chairperson would like the DA member to start by disciplining her member. While she was seated, she pointed at her as that woman. She made a comment to her at that woman at the beginning
Thank
of
you,
the session.
thank you,
She must
honorable members.
discipline her first before she comes and discipline the ANC. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank
but we
you,
accept
honorable
your ruling,
members.
Chairperson.
Thank you, honorable members. If we are going to continue to point fingers across the floor, we're not going to finish. I think it will be a point of order against a point of order until we go to the end. That's why we have pleaded with you. We have heard the concern about emotions, but we are pleading with the House so that we really calm down. Let's allow Honorable Standard to complete the debate.
point of order,
That's what
Chairperson.
we are requesting.
Yes.
Otherwise, we are going to point fingers until the debate is
Point
finished.
of order, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, what's the point of order?
I'm just requesting that we not get frivolous point of orders from the DA. And when they stand up on a point of order, they need to actually quote the rule on which they're actually standing on.
Thank you very much. And honorable members, let me plead, let's proceed with the debate. Otherwise, we're not going to end up and then we are frustrating the member on the podium. Can we allow the member to complete their speech? Can you continue, Honorable Stanner? Continue,
Ewe,
Honorable
Nkosi
Stanner.
Sihlalo.
No, on a point of order, Chair.
Oh.
Please.
Okay.
I must, Chair, I must appeal to yourselves. Now, the Speaker used the word audacity, which means bravery. Now, I don't understand what.
Honorable Lukota. Honorable Lukota.
No, I don't.
Honorable
No.
Lukota. Order, honorable members.
No, Chair.
Order, honorable members.
No.
Honorable Lukota.
I must make this point.
Honorable Lukota.
No.
Honorable Lukota. There is no need to make any point on audacity because we have ruled on that one. That will come back on it. We'll make a considered view on it.
Yeah,
Therefore, there
but
is no need for you to proceed on it. Thank you very much. Proceed, Honorable Steiner.
But during this very debate, the minister asked my colleague, my female colleague, whether she was drunk. And further, she has called opposition MPs Barbie dolls. Further to that, I searched here just before I stood up, and it was found that she was agreeing with Chief Mahlangu to cut funds to abuse centers because such problems need to be dealt with at home. Watint abafazi, watint imbokoto. Women are not weak, Minister.
Order.
Women have been failed by the weak ANC
Order, honourable
cadres
members.
in every ministry and sphere of government for 23 years. I cannot mention every statistic that exposes the ANC's inadequate transformation within its own government departments, or the horrific truth. The ANC has done little to protect our women from oppression, abuse, rape, murder, trafficking. These statistics are there for all to see. Google it. The minister mentions that her department plans to embark on a program of dialogues. Now, the outcome that she has requested is a report. But how do we not know that the 22 odd million rand that's being spent on these dialogues are not going to be like Minister Batabile abuses social development funds? Then this will be a platform to be used for campaigning towards 2019. On the issue of dialogues.
Order, honourable members. Complete your speech in 1 minute.
The Department of Education has not been assisted to have a copy of the Sexual Offenders Register so that our children can be protected from predator teachers, despite asking for assistance to do so. Women deserve to feel safe whether boarding public transport, walking down a street, or sitting within their own homes. We know violence against women is not new, but we know that we don't have the details or extent of the problem. The issue is, Minister, in light of the statements you've made in this House today, in light of the empty rhetoric that has been forthcoming year after year, and in light especially of what you said that was broadcast on ENCA, the Minister, you are a disgrace to your office, and the President should recall you immediately. Luckily, the DA does care about women, and we do have a plan that women can hope for when we govern in 2019. We want educated women with good schools and a curriculum that gives them the opportunity for a decent future. The Minister on Women has been silent on the traditional courts bill. Patriarchy, any patriarchal practice that fails against the Constitution, like ukutwala and female genital mutilation, must be prosecuted. A woman's vagina belongs
Order,
to
honourable
her,
members.
and no man or government can tell her what she can or cannot do with it. It was mentioned an extra 50 days of school a year.
Thank you, Honourable Steiner.
Lip service.
Thank you, Honourable Steiner. The time has expired.
Ndiyabulela sihlalo.
Honourable members, the next speaker is now Honourable Bengu. She will be speaking from the desk where she's seated. Proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm wondering how Honourable Standa ukuthi le ngane emnyama elisayo uhleli. Ngicela ngilalele.
Order, honourable members. Can we
House
afford the Honourable Bengu to participate in the debate? Just hold on a second. Is that a point of order?
Can you please talk to the chairperson of women, please? I know she might be angry, but really what you did, ma'am, really, please.
Thank you, Honorable
Thank,
Chairperson.
thank you very much. Can you proceed, Honorable Bengu? Proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, I'm wondering ukuthi Honorable Standa lengane emnyama ikhulisayo ifundisa yiphi inhlonipho yena mayingenayo inhlonipho. Namhlanje sihlangene ukukhuluma ngesabelo sezimali somnyango wezabesifazane ehhovisi likamongameli. Ngaphambi kokuthi ngiqale le nkulumo yami ngizothanda ukuzwakalisa ubuhlungu obukhulu ngale nkinga esibhekene nayo siyisizwe saseMzansi Afrika sobulawa ngesihluku sabesifazane nabantwana ngabantu ababathandayo nababethembayo. Lokhu nje kukodwa kwenza isizwe sethu kube sengathi isizwe esinobulwane esingenalo uzwelo nokuthanda abantu besifazane baso. Siwukhongolose sithi abaphumule ngoxolo emindenini yabo akwehlanga lungehliyo. Ngithi angibonge nabesilisa abaphume ngobuningi babo bemasha bethi konke lokho kwenzekayo akungenzeki egameni lethu, not in our name. Beveza ilaka labo ezinkundleni zokuxhumana bethi phansi ngokuhlukunyezwa nokubulawa kwabesifazane nabantwana. Honorable Chairperson, we have not seen the opposition parties such as DA, EFF, IFP, COPE, UDM, Save South Africa and their friends marching throughout the streets of our country saying phansi nokuhlukunyezwa nokubulawa kwabantwana nabesifazane. Sibabona kuphela lapho behla benyuka
Point of order, Chair.
bebanga imisindo bethi
Point of order, Chair.
akwehle umongameli esihlaleni yena lo owenze izimpilo zabantu besifazane
Honorable
nabantwana
Bengu,
ukuthi
just
zibe
hold on a
ngcono.
second. Is that a point of order?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Can you proceed?
Just as much as we never saw ANC marching
No,
against...
Honorable Member,
right.
please. Please be honest. When I ask whether
Of
it's a point of
course.
order, I must be honest with you.
We have not
Thank you very
seen
much.
you
Proceed.
in the streets of South Africa marching to say phansi ngokuhlukunyezwa kwabantwana nabantu besifazane.
Point of order, Honorable Chair.
You the truth.
Honorable Bengu, hold on. Mam Kaula.
Ngiyabonga.
Is that a
Hayi.
point of order?
Yes.
Qhubeka.
Uyabona la konke ngisho ngale ukudelela khona la. Ngale bekhona uMarashiya oshiwe lezi ilokhuzana osichotho bakaZuma. Lalela ke manje into engifuna ukuyisho nje iyodwa. Abantu barepa kangaka. Babona
no.
uZuma erepa uKhwezi.
The point of
Honorable
order that
Makaula, then
Uyena
that is not a
fundisa
point of
abantu.
order. Please, hlala phansi, ma'am. Hlala phansi, ma'am. Thank you very much. Just hold on a second. Hold on, honorable members. Order. Order. Is that a point of order?
Chairperson, please, can I please?
Honorable,
No, you are
Honorable
stating
Chair.
being true. There is somebody
No,
behind you.
Denise, I'm on.
Order.
Chairperson, I would really like to appeal for us to please put our political differences aside. This is about women. It's about the empowerment of women.
telling you the truth.
You don't need a
no,
lecture.
but let's not do that,
Order.
Chairperson. This debate is degenerating. And this is the reason why women issues
Thank
never
you.
take center stage in our country.
Thank you very
We
much.
must
On a
unite,
point of order.
and we must not blame one another. I never blamed the ANC.
Thank you very
And
much.
On a point
let us
of
not
order.
point fingers, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Point of order.
Thank you. Honorable members,
Chairperson.
please,
Chairperson.
can we really cool down? Can we really cool down and conduct this debate with the dignity it deserves?
Thank you.
Point of order.
Just a second, is that a point of order?
Yes. It's a point of order,
Chair,
Chairperson.
I'm still
there
beside,
is
I'm
a
coming
case
to-
of misrepresentation. We have plenty of marches. We protest,
No,
but
no,
the
no,
lady
no, no.
cannot
No,
say
honorable
so.
member, please.
We have done
please,
that for the
no,
village
take
Point of
your
order,
seat.
Chairperson.
women.
Take your seat, ma'am.
Point of order,
Take your seat.
Chairperson.
I thought that the plea that was coming just behind you made sense.
Yes.
But it looks like you're just continuing.
Point of order,
Honorable
Chairperson.
Mataka.
May I reiterate the fact
Order.
that I've actually put forward to say, let's not have frivolous points of order. And when a member
Yes.
stands on a point of order, they need to indicate on what rule they are standing. It will be something that will actually help to keep order in the house.
Order.
Because you keep on standing, saying things
Order.
without actually following the rules.
Honorable-
And indeed, this is a
Honorable
debate for
members.
women. If this is the reflection
Okay.
and the face of women in South Africa, it's
Order.
disappointing.
No, thank you very much. Honorable members, can we plead with you? Can we plead with you? We did not expect this kind of behavior when you are debating this particular budget vote. Honestly speaking, is that let us give Honorable Bengu the opportunity to proceed with the debate. And let's cool down. Let's hear each other. Whatever we are saying, we have got the opportunity to say. Those that are still online to speak, then they will come and respond. Thank you very much. Can you proceed, Honorable Bengu?
Ngicela ukuyiphinda futhi sihlalo. Ukuthi lamaqembu lawa aphikisayo kubalwa iDA, EFF, IFP, COPE, UDM, Save South Africa.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Bamashile bagcwala.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Kodwa bazange bakhuluma.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Honorable Bengu, just a second.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Mam Kaula, is that a point of order?
Yes. Aga debate ngento esizelele la. Ahlukane ne-EFF. Secondly, mangase baxosha uZuma. Uzobona ake kuphinde kuresho la eSouth Africa. Uyena ofika nokurepa. Abantu barepa through yena.
Take your seat. Take your seat. Take your seat. Honorable members, let's stop all these frivolous points of orders.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank you. Proceed, Bengu.
Uningi namhlanje abenza engathi abakuboni. Islima kuphela esingathi asiyiboni imisebenzi yalohulumeni oholo ukhongolosi. As committee, we have proposed that we need to have an urgent summit to talk about this scourge of violence to women and children. The president created this department to deal with issues of women and for this department to work with other departments, in particular those in the economic cluster.
Honorable members, you can't drown the speaker. Honorable members, please don't drown the speaker.
Chairperson,
the
you
speaker
can't
is
have
on the
this.
podium.
Chairperson, point of order. Banalungelo laba ngemuva nabo bakhulume. Laba bangemuva.
No.
Laba abasemuva nabo batambana mbani.
Thank you.
Banelungelo.
Take your seat.
Must rule kuleyo ndawo,
Take your
please.
seat.
Ngiyayiphoxa naxoshana uZuma kuzophela
Honorable
ukurepa.
Kaula, take your seat.
Point of order, point of order.
Order, honorable members.
Chairperson, point
Can
of
we
order.
plead? No, honorable members, just a second.
No, Chairperson, on Rule 84.
Order, honorable Manana,
No, I'm
just a
raising-
second.
On
Just a
Rule
second.
84.
Just a second,
Because
honorable
Honorable
Manana.
Noma Rashia.
Honorable Manana, take your seat. Take your seat. Honorable members, please don't do what you are doing now because really you are undermining the
Can
decorum
you,
of the House.
yeah, can you,
Honorable
please,
Kaula.
can you rule to this
Honorable
thing
Kaula,
for
I'm
Noma
still
Rashia?
speaking.
Awutshela usithotho kaZuma la wasenkandla.
Honorable,
Ukuthi must stop what she say to me.
Honorable Kaula, take your seat.
Mustn't
as a-
say what she say to
Take your
me.
seat. Take your seat, Honorable Kaula. Take your seat. Honorable members. Honorable members, please lower your voices. And our guests in the gallery, you are not actually permitted to participate in the debate that's happening on the floor.
Okay.
Neither clapping hands or ululating or doing anything other than just watching what is happening on the floor. Therefore, we plead with you just simply to observe that. Thank you very much. Honorable members in the House, there is no Amarashia or Noma Rashia. We all know members that are members of the National Assembly. Honorable Bengu, proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. The president created this department to deal with issues of women and for this department to work with other departments, in particular those in the economic cluster, to assess and make recommendations on sensitive service delivery models for the aims of developing gender-responsive planning and budgeting frameworks to guide on its priorities and allocations of resources as mainstreaming the women's socio-economic empowerment, to lead a multi-developmental tax team to develop a policy framework for the provision of the sanitary dignity towels to indigent girls and women. Lo mnyango uqale uhlelo lokuhambela zonke izifundazwe wenza lokho kubizwa ngama-public community dialogues. Imema bonke abantu abathintekayo, abezomthetho, amaphoyisa, izinhlaka zikahulumeni lana sibala nama-chapter 9 institutions and other departments ukuze bazolalela izinkinga abantu besifazane ababhekene nazo ukuze zixazulule ngokuhlanganyene nokuziveza ukuthi sewukhona lo mnyango njengoba wawufunwa ngabantu besifazane. This Department of Women receive a budget allocation of 206 million as the minister has said for the financial year 2017-18. Of this 78 million, 0.3 million constitute the transfer payments to the Commission of Gender Equality, leaving the department with an operating budget of 1.27.8 million. Kulo nyaka isabelo semnyango sikhuphuke nje kancane ngo-800,000 kulo nyaka odlule. Kulo nyaka, despite a nominal increase of 9.2 million in the allocation between 2016-17 and 27-18, there has in fact been a real decrease of 3 million. That is when the inflation is taken into account. That has only 1.53% than it did in the previous year. As other honorable members have said, the total of 83 million is for program 1, which is administration, because this is to provide strategic leadership, management, and support service of the department. This program consumes the highest proportion of the department. This remains a concern as the department's co-mandate is carrying out in program 2 and 3, as its APP indicates that the strategic goal for this department are the programs that have to promote the promotion of strategic leadership, good governance, effective and efficient economical use of public resources for socio-economic empowerment of women and gender equality. As the Committee on Women, we welcome the focus assessing the implementation of the 9-point plan from a gendered perspective. These will assist the underdevelopment of rural areas as well, among others, for the urban migration of young men and women in pursuit of employment opportunities, as it has adverse effect on rural women. In many cases, rural women are exposed to harsh conditions of poverty and hard labor in energy generation and collection of water. Many rural women are without the security of tenure, as trust land is held by the traditional leaders. It's often distributed along gender lines in favor of males. Therefore, such conditions have chilling effects on women's effort to develop themselves and care for their dependents. It is imperative not only to equalize opportunities and improve infrastructure, also to reconfigure rural resources allocation methods to respond to gender inequalities in a manner that seeks not only to eliminate them, but in the main to empower rural women. That is why the President in his sonnet said, in this 23rd year of our freedom, our mission remains a quest for a united, democratic, non-sexist, non-racial, and prosperous South Africa, guided by the National Development Plan, as we are building a South Africa that must be free from poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Government programs such as Operation Pakisa should create projects to assist women who depend on ocean economy, health, and mining sector. More than 61,000 work opportunities were created through environmental programs such as Working for Water, Working for Wetlands, Working on Fire and Ecosystem. More than 60% beneficiaries were young people, including women. Honorable members, this Women Department's purpose is to lead, coordinate, and oversee the transformation agenda on women's socio-economic empowerment, rights, and equality. Therefore, this department should work hand in glove with other departments by monitoring and evaluating budgets to accelerate its mission in economic transformation and empowerment for empowerment and advancement of gender equality by promoting gender mainstreaming in governance programs. As the African National Congress, we want to see the department monitor and evaluate the progress on the empowerment of women in line with national laws, regional, continental, and international treaties and commitments. This should include a report on socio-economic empowerment through government incentive schemes, as well as country reports for multilateral forums. We hope that the department should monitor the outcomes of these engagements and develop implementable recommendations for further women's empowerment and gender equality through these initiatives. Honorable members and chairperson, we note with concern that this program too, social transformation and economic empowerment, which aims to champion the gender equality and the achievement of women's economic empowerment and rights, the core aspect of giving effect on the department's mandate once again received the smallest operating budget of 16.6 million. In conclusion, honorable members, as the African National Congress, we believe that this department has a long way to go, as it should request that each department in the economic cluster to indicate what percentage of its budget is allocated to services and programs for women and how gender-responsive budgeting is currently implemented, and to request that each department should report on the questions related to gender focal points. We also need the departments to work with all the premiers so as to have working relationship with all the provinces on issues of women. The ANC supports the budget of the Department of Women in the presidency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now is the opportunity for the Honorable Minister of Women in the Presidency to respond to the issues raised. Honorable Minister, you are at liberty to use the extra 4 minutes that you saved in your opening speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the leadership of the Chairperson in navigating the space, dealing with these complex issues of South Africa, but globally. Women issues are not easy issues. That is why we continue to advance the interest of women, not only here in a global space, but I must also say, as South Africa, we're making progress. That's what is important to us. I also want to welcome the opposition, Abuti. Indeed, this is supposed to be, that's my big brother, this one. This budget, the issue you've raised about this particular debate, it's a debate where we have come a long way. For us, it's not an academic exercise. It's an issue which we fought for many, many years as children, as girl children. We're not starting today because we're in parliament. We've been part of it. The pain of the women today who have been brutally murdered, it's the pain we feel. It's the pain we know. It's the pain which hurts as women. We've got girl children, we've got sisters, and we know the pain. We can tell stories. For us, it's not academic, it's not theory. It's practical, it's real. I also want to indicate that the issue of the traditional bill, I would expect the committee to play its role. The committees have to play its role. My turn, it's in cabinet. Now this bill is in parliament. So all constituencies, especially the portfolio women, must play a role in making sure that you contribute and shape it. I want to respond to Honorable DA, even if they're not here. I want to indicate, I don't think we are in the apartheid space where South Africa faced sanction, where South Africa could not be part of the world. We fought for it to be part of the world, hence we have a responsibility and obligation to international protocols and treaties. Going to CSW, it's not an event. And I also want to correct, as they continue to pep up this thing, we are coming back with a report. The same members of the DA must ask their members to give them a report, what transpired, what happens in the UN. Because it's like they're blaming us. And to correct, we only had seven staff members. And here, you need to understand the CSW in its proper context. This is not a beauty show where you go there for showcasing. It's about discussing issues affecting women globally, issues of women, indigenous women in different areas. That is why we are here to do that. So if they want to, they think that they're going to get rid of this portfolio, hard luck, This portfolio was created deliberately so in making sure that issues of women don't fall back in our society. I want to indicate that as we talk about the programs raised on Tutuzela centers, we all there, we're not happy. I've indicated that to the committee. And I also want to say, Honorable Stander, what a shame, young as she is, she does not understand. Because the problem is that she's not on the ground. She doesn't understand. Karabo, it's a child who needs protection of mothers. But if you listen to the mother, you will understand that pain of a mother, of a parent who lost her girl when she thought there's a future for her child. So I don't want to talk politics on the pain of African women. On the issue of violence, it's not starting today. It's been there for a very long time. That is why, as the ANC, we came up and decided to put up various laws. And this is not an event, it's a journey. It's a very, very difficult and complex journey. It's a journey about patriarchy. It's a big journey about our own cultures. Many, many things we need to deal with and confront in making sure that women are free. In townships, she might have a car. In township, girls walk the streets to study. It's a reality, it's not a dream. And it's not a fantasy. If she knows her relatives might be having cars, ours walk the streets. Ours confront this reality every day. Where we are today as she speaks, young girls around Gauteng and in various areas can no longer walk the streets because they are getting kidnapped. So this is no time about blame game. We've got to work together, not only as women, as men, including men in changing and making sure that we create a safer society. We create safer space for our children. Not only women, our children. All the vulnerable groups, we need to make sure that we protect them. I must also welcome Honorable van der Merwe when you say this. Let's put it context into the sanitary products. We don't want handouts. We must have a policy framework as government in making sure that government reach out to the indigent kids, reach out to the poor, so that they're not dependent on me who has money today and have no money tomorrow. So we're working on a policy framework in making sure that those kids can benefit through government policies. Because we also don't want to compare condoms and a necessity and pads. We don't want that. Young women must have a right because it's not a choice to have menstruation. No one makes a decision that I want to menstruate. No one. It's biological. So it's important for government, therefore, to say, how do we meet the lives of young people in making sure that they live a decent life like any other child, standards child might be living the same way. Because for standard, sanitary pads are nothing. But for that poor rural child, they mean a lot. So the dignity of the girl child, that's what we're trying to do in coming up with this policy. I want also to welcome the portfolio committee when it refers to a summit. We really support it. We are with you in that. This violence, it's not going to take one activity. It needs us every day. It needs education. It also needs to change the attitudes of men and understanding how we socialize our children. I want to say, in homes, what kind of socialization or education do we give to our children? Both girls and boys, not one, all of them. If we are able to start at home, as we say charity begins at home, then we'll be able to change our society. Mhlobo wam, I'll go be constructive. Make sure when you talk to us, you don't start shifting responsibility. You know, as a member of parliament, you've got a responsibility. That is why you are elected. People expect you to come and represent them, not to come and complain. make laws. You are a lawmaker, you forget. Uyisishaya mthetho wena. Kumele wenze sure ukuthi umela laba bantu ngangiyilunga leparlamente nami. Sakha imithetho. Uma ngabe khona okungahlangana emthethweni, ngicela ukuba ukufake emthethweni ungabi lokukhala njalo njengengane engashaywanga. The last point I want to make is that I will always appear before the committee chairperson, and I'm not going to grandstand. I'll say the truth, the difficulties, so when I'm not complaining, my responsibility is to share the reality, and I'm not going to hide the reality which confronts this department. I'm not going to hide it. I will tell you in the portfolio committee for us to work together. And I also welcome, Abut, when you say these legislatures have a responsibility of making sure that this department has proper budget. It's not going to help us to complain every day. I can fight my bit, but I expect the legislatures to fight or make their contribution in making sure that we have a budget which recognizes the challenges faced by women in our country. So if we work together, we'll be able to do that. And lastly, what Standa said today for me, it's a reflection of somebody who's doing a job and has no commitment towards women. Lizelle, we were both at Deep Kloof on Friday. Where were they? I was there in Naledi. Where were they? That's my home, that's my place, that's where I grew up. Hence, it's my community, it's my own people, my blood. So that is why I had to be there. For them, it's academic. And we will continue.
Point of order, Slad. Angeke bafethu. Slad.
Just hold on,
Ake
Honorable
ulungise.
Minister.
Eh?
Is that a point of
Hayi,
order?
umuntu ofuna abuze lo ilo lapha phambili hayi.
Mam Kaola, is that a point of order?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, Kubega.
Ngiyabonga. Hayi bo. Bengicelile la lento ke eMarussia. Nampo sichotho bo bakaZuma.
Honorable Makaola.
Na basele awubakuze.
Take your seat. Take your seat, ma'am. We have dealt with that. Take your seat. Let the minister complete the responses. Proceed, Minister.
Thank you, Chair. The fight which are... The scourge of violence in our society need every person in our society to work together in changing it.
Mam Kaola, assesstraten phela man. We are not in the street.
We need
Honorable
all
Minister.
South Africans.
Please,
We want to call...
Please,
We want
let's
to
allow the
call
minister to
on
complete.
all people in South Africa to work together. The legislature, we want to challenge you men in the legislature that you need to rise and say not in your name. Because what is going on in our country, it's in your name. We want to hear, we want to see you leading this particular campaign of changing and making sure that women feel safe. As you know, you are there to embrace and make sure that women are safe. We cannot continue running campaigns of women alone. We need men, not in your name. Stop keeping silence, break the silence. For all of us as South Africans, we need to hear first as the legislatures or as the leaders of government or of the country in making sure that people can have their confidence back. Lastly is that violence is not new, but it takes different shapes. At some point, we had Borasuche, and we had the same thing. The communities rose against that violence, and a difference was made. So I call upon all legislatures to make this a priority in their programs, and also participate in making sure that in their own communities, there's safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, let's thank the minister and all of you and the guests for having stayed through this budget debate. That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. This mini plenary will now rise.